Hi, my name is Christine Iksic and I'm with Precision Laser and Instrument. We are the authorized Trimble dealer for mapping and GIS equipment in Western Pennsylvania, West Virginia, and Ohio. Again, my name is Christine and I cover Western Pennsylvania. My colleagues Rose, Saville, Iksic, and Doug Kotnick, they cover parts of Ohio. So together we are the mapping and GIS team at Precision Laser and Instrument. If you're familiar with Trimble GPS, what you probably have had and known is the Geo. This here is the Geo 7X, and the Geo has been the workhorse of the Trimble mapping and GIS product line for probably a decade, if not 2 or 3 decades when you go back to the different Geo models. So I'll talk about what's coming, where things are headed with the Geo and a lot of the other equipment, and also how to really what questions to ask, what things you need to know in order to select the right GPS equipment for your GIS work or GPS data collection project, and talk about some of those new features. So I'll just go ahead and get started. Part of this is we're coming to you virtually more and more, as many of our trade shows have been moved to a virtual platform this year. So we'll do our best to get you all the same information here virtually as if we were in person with you. Moving over into the Geo. Some updates here that, there's a lot of Geo 6000s, maybe even some 3000s, and of course 7X was the last release of the Geo. There's still a lot of them out there. There's a lot of large fleets. What's really important to realize is that the Geos operate on a platform called Windows Mobile Operating System. That Windows Mobile Operating System has been retired by Microsoft. It was retired, I want to say, back in 2017, 2018, and for a while we've had some workarounds to keep going with Windows Mobile Office. The biggest thing here was to connect, often to get data to and from your Geo, we would connect it to our PC. And the way that we did that was through a program called Windows Mobile Device Center. That has pretty much gone away along with the Windows operating system, and we once had this patch that could allow that to keep working with Windows 10. There's now been a number of instances where that patch is no longer working, and for a number of folks, in order to get data to and from your Geo, if Windows Mobile Device Center doesn't work for you, what you need to do is get an SD card and use the SD card to move data. So you're going to plug this into your PC and then run data transfer to put files onto this unit and then put it into here. And when you're working with TerraSync, you can either save your files directly to the SD card, or you can collect data like you normally do and then go into File Manager to copy your data over to the SD card, bring it back into the office. So again, technology is just changing. It happens with our computers, it happens with our cars, it's happening with our GPS equipment. The operating system is different. We've traditionally used that USB cord and manually downloaded files to and from the unit. So if you've still got a Geo that's out there that's working, that is fantastic. Keep using it, but realize that you need to start planning for the future. With that being said, let's see what that future looks like. It's already here. We've been selling a number of these more modern technology devices, many of which are cloud-based. Before I get into the details of each of these devices, so here we have the TDC 150. This is an all-in-one, very much like the Geo, but the current predecessor of that. This is the TDC 600. Both of these are running Android operating systems now. So Windows Mobile Device Center or Windows Mobile Operating System is now gone away. The Trimble platform is Android. So both of these devices are running Android. And then what you see behind me is the R2, and here I have an R1. This is most of what our product lineup currently is. Again, the TDC 150, the TDC 600, the R1, and the R2. So when you're deciding about what piece of GPS equipment is the right equipment for your next GIS project, the first question you want to ask yourself is accuracy, right? Where do I need to be? Typically, if you're coming to see us and you're looking to get a Trimble device, most of the time you're going to want to be sub-meter or even higher accuracy, sub-foot or centimeter. So that's typically where we work. We work sometimes in that 1 meter or even 1 to 2 meter range. 1 meter, sub-meter, which will get us down to about 50 centimeters or 1.5 feet. And then we have what we call sub-foot or decimeter, which is about 4 inches or sub-12 inches. And then even though it's not survey, in the mapping world, we can get you centimeter accuracy, which is typically 1 to 2 centimeters or 2 to 3 inches. So many of our devices come in any of those accuracies. So if we look at the R2, the R2 has a sub-meter option, a sub-foot option, and a centimeter option. You can upgrade from any one of the lower levels to the higher level. Same with the TDC 150. This unit comes in a 1 meter, sub-meter, sub-foot, and centimeter option. It is upgradable either on a permanent basis or a monthly basis. So maybe for 1 month you needed centimeter, but you only purchased a 1 meter unit. You can pay a monthly fee to upgrade to those accuracies. So some convenience there and flexibility with these more modern devices. And then the R1, which is a sub-meter only unit. So the R2 again would be if we want sub-meter and go up to sub-foot or centimeter. The R1 is sub-meter only. So how do I choose which one is which? So that first question was, well, what accuracy do you need? And then you need to decide, what are my field conditions, or what kind of work am I doing? Am I working out in the field all day? Do I do environmental work that's going to maybe take me out with my GPS and my data collector for 8 to 10 hours a day, or 6 to 10 hours a day? Or am I in and out of my vehicle and I'm only collecting data here and there for 1 or 2 hours? So if we start down at the lowest accuracy, let's say sub-meter, the R1 comes in. And this is where a lot of our municipalities and water authorities are at. They want to have sub-meter accuracy, so better than 1 meter, but they're not out in the field all day, and so they take an R1 and they often will just pair it to their own cell phone or tablet. So this device is just going to Bluetooth either to your own cell phone or your own tablet, iOS or Android. It will even work with Windows, even though we highly recommend Android or iOS over Windows. The limitation here is if we're pairing this, which does have an all-day battery, and we pair it to our smartphones or our tablets, which aren't designed for that kind of power consumption. Our tablets and our phones typically are only going to last us a few hours out in the field. No problem with a power pack, or if you're in and out of your vehicle, but if you want to be doing all-day field work, you often want a data collector that also has an all-day battery. That's where the TDC 600 comes in. These two paired together are an all-day, rugged, friendly data collection option at sub-meter accuracy. You can run, I'll get into our software, but again, this is an Android device. You can run Trimble's Teraflex or Collector or Google Maps. A variety of third-party applications can be used. Again, the value here, this is a all-day battery, and it has it's ruggedized, and it also is a phone if you wanted to activate cellular service on it. This often too can be used as a standalone unit. If you're not looking for 1 meter or better accuracy, this does have a 1 to 2 meter GPS. Some people use this as what we used to call the Juno. It was just a very basic data collection that they wanted to have some device that was dedicated for data collection rather than using their phone or Garmin or something. This can do that. But if you want better than 1 meter, that's where we're going to take the TDC 600 and pair it to the R1. Let's say we want better than sub-meter. So then if we want better than sub-meter, the R1 is not an option, and that's where we're going to look at an R2. Again, this also comes in a sub-meter accuracy, We really only recommend that if you think that you might want to upgrade it to a higher accuracy. Typically we're going to provide an R2 to somebody who is looking for sub-foot or centimeter accuracy. Same concept, we're going to Bluetooth this GPS, which is a GPS and receiver, as is the R1, to our data collector, the TDC 600. Same situation here, we can take the R2 and pair it to our phone or a tablet. But if you want an all-day battery and a ruggedized device, that's where the TDC 600 comes in instead of using our phones or tablets. A little bit more about the R2 while I have it here. Both of these units, the R1 and the R2, are just simple one button, power on, power off. It's really easy to operate. If I turn off the R2 here and pull this battery out, you've got a battery door. It comes with 2 4-hour batteries, rechargeable. The R1, it just has a USB slot. You're going to charge it right here in the back like you would your phone or other device, USB device. The R1, I typically recommend to mount on a backpack because this is the top of the antenna. You can wear it on your belt, but your body's going to block that signal, so you often would be taking it out and holding it over the asset. So best reception is going to get achieved if we can hold that R1 above our body, either on a pole or on a backpack. The R2 over here is a antenna receiver head, and we're going to typically, again, you're not going to carry this, it's only going to be mountable on a pole or on a backpack. But both are just very simple, easy to use solutions, really dependent on budget. We're looking at about $2,500, anywhere from $5,000 to $12,000, depending on your accuracy. The other nice thing here about the R1 or the R2 is that GPS technology isn't advancing extremely fast right now. So this technology is going to kind of stick around and be reliable for 5 to 10 years even without changing significantly. What's changing a lot right now is our operating systems. On your smartphone, I'm sure you notice upgrades and things like that. So when we separate the GPS from the data collector, we kind of don't get into this trap where we get an outdated operating system. So if you have that fear of being left behind with technology, I highly recommend the R1 or the R2, because then as technology changes quickly with operating systems, you can just get a new field device, you get a new tablet, you get a new phone, whatever it is. If there's compatibility issues, your GPS is separate. It also is a nice feature if that you have staff with dedicated field devices, you can switch around the GPS and they can just pair it to their phone or their tablet, and you kind of can be mobile with who's using the high accuracy GPS. So that's the R1 and the R2. We talked about accuracy and field conditions. When we go into the higher accuracies, so at the sub-meter level, we're going to get sub-meter with just SBAS. So this unit can get to that level with just satellites in the sky that are in addition to your GPS satellites. It's called SBAS, enable us to get that sub-meter. We typically need to be in open environments to get sub-meter on the R1 or the R2. If you need sub-meter and you're in heavy canopy, you need to be potentially prepared to post-process, and that's going to be dependent on what software that we're using. So if you want to post-process, that means your software that you're going to need to choose is Teraflex. If you want to be higher accuracy, sub-foot or centimeter level, we then need to look at what your cellular service is going to be like. What kind of work environment? Do you have access to Wi-Fi or cellular data signal? None of our devices come with that, but typically what we would do is get a cellular plan on this device, or on your phone you would have your own cell service through your phone or a hotspot. In order to achieve sub-foot or centimeter accuracy, we need to pull in a correction stream with Teraflex or collector in real time through that cellular data. If you're just at sub-meter, then cell service doesn't matter. But at the R2 level or the TDC 150, to be sub-foot or centimeter in real time in the field, then we need cellular data. In Ohio, that is done through ODOT. It's a free access to their VRS network. In Pennsylvania, that is a subscription to KeyNet. So basically it's a username and password you put into your software. It's connecting out over the internet to a base station that's providing you corrections in real time, so that you're 4 inches horizontal and vertical, or 1 to 2 centimeters horizontal and vertical out in the field. A third option we now have today is called RTX from Trimble. And then instead of providing that correction over cellular data, so where you'd have to have a good cell reception where you're working, RTX is satellite based as well as cellular. So we could be working down in, let's say, West Virginia, where we have no cell service in a remote area, but you have access to open sky. Then RTX would be the correction service that you would want to use to get sub-foot or centimeter. Your third scenario is, hey, I'm working under heavy canopy and I don't have cell service, but I still want to get sub-foot or centimeter. In those cases, again, canopy could inhibit those accuracies overall, but your best solution to get the best possible accuracy if you have not open skies and no cell service is going to be post-processing. So you pick the hardware to match the accuracy that you want to get, and then the software is going to be Teraflex, the app running on the TDC 150 or on your TDC 600 or on your phone, and then through what we call the Positions desktop extension inside ArcMap, you're able to post-process your Teraflex collected data just as you did with GPS Pathfinder Office. So again, post-processing is an option today, but it's going to be all done through Teraflex and in that ArcMap desktop extension. So with that, I'll kind of move over into the TDC 150. So we were talking about the R1 and the R2. So when I talk about them, it's important to know that an R1 and an R2 are antenna and a receiver only, right? There's no data collector here. So there's 3 parts to any GPS data collection equipment. You need a antenna, a receiver, and a data collector. These guys have a receiver, an antenna, which captures the signal. The receiver processes that signal into a position, and then the data collector displays that signal. So these only have 2 parts of the 3 pieces that you need. The TDC 150, like our Geo, which we've had, right, is an all-in-one data collector. It's got an antenna, a receiver, and a data collector combined. And there's a lot of conveniences here, right? You have 1 device that you have to charge versus 2 or 3 devices. We don't have to worry about Bluetoothing, even though, you know, Bluetooth today with the R2 and the R1 is super simple. Some people just want to eliminate those steps. So having the TDC 150 is an all-in-one device. This unit typically is going to run Teraflex. It does run Collector Classic, but if you are an Esri shop and you are moving forward with a lot of Esri solutions, it's important to know that the TDC 150 does not support field maps. So if you're looking to go into field maps, which is Esri's newest data collection app that's coming out, it's in beta now, then you really want to stick to the R2 or the R1 depending on your accuracy. If you know your ArcGIS desktop user and you want to bring your data back into desktop and you know that you need to post-process, then Teraflex Trimble software is going to be your application. Then the TDC 150 is a great solution for you. And as I mentioned, the TDC 150 comes in a 1 meter, sub-meter, sub-foot, or centimeter option, and they're all upgradable. One of the greatest benefits to me that I think of this TDC 150 is that everything's cloud-based today. So when I'm done collecting data in the field, which I can collect data offline, we do not require cell service in the field. If you want real-time sub-foot or centimeter accuracy, then ideally you would have cell service, but we can post-process that. But you can collect data too completely offline. That's important to know. But then when you get back into reception, or you get back to the office, or you're back to your vehicle where you have cellular service or access to Wi-Fi, within the Teraflex app, let's see if I can bring it up, you can hit sync and your data syncs up to the cloud. and then you download your data back on the computer. So it's almost like in real time. Field people can be en route back to the office or back to the hotel, and people in the office, you know, a few miles away, a few states away, can have access to that data as soon as that's syncing up. So, you know, before the end of the day, you can see what was collected in the field from several states away. No more need for the USB cable or the SD card and then sending that or uploading it. Everything's syncing via the cloud. And that's going to happen with Collector or Teraflex. Everything is cloud-based and login-based nowadays. So I'm going to go ahead and log in with my account. Teraflex, so we'll kind of jump in. We've talked about a lot of the hardware. Again, as I mentioned, upgradable accuracies here. Now it really comes down to what software do I use? You know, I know what accuracy I need. I know what my field conditions are, whether I have cell service or no cell service, open sky or heavy canopy, and, you know, am I working all day or just for one, you know, hour blocks at a time? But how do I decide what software? So typically the first question I ask is that one about post-processing. Do you need sub-meter, sub-foot, or centimeter accuracy and you can't get it in the field? If the answer is yes, then we know that Teraflex is your software. If sub-meter is good and you're out in the open field, or you know you're working in areas with cell service, then you have this choice between Collector and Teraflex. If you're already a really strong Esri shop or ESRI shop, and you're using ArcGIS Online, then Collector is probably going to be a right fit for you because you're already in that environment and you're a strong user in it. Or maybe you're not a strong user, but you know you already have those licenses and you really want to go that direction. We have a Jumpstart program for Collector. So we can do a 6-hour web training with you and kind of get you going from ArcGIS Online to Collector and help you set up a project. If Teraflex and Post-Processing is important, or what I like to tell people, if you're an ArcGIS desktop user and your data is coming back into your geo database in that desktop environment, then Teraflex is a really great fit because we have an extension or toolbar for inside ArcMap that allows you to publish your projects out to Teraflex and bring your data back into the geo database with just a few clicks of buttons right within that desktop environment. So again, we're not downloading SSF files, we're not downloading shape files. Your data is coming to and from that geo database directly when we use the Teraflex solution along with one of the extensions or toolbars for ArcMap. When we, some of the advancements of Teraflex, you know, when Collector and Teraflex first came out, the biggest thing was, oh, metadata, we can get that with Teraflex, Collector can't. Both of those solutions today are going to track all of your metadata, which means who collected the data, what accuracy, how many GPS, you know, were they tracking, what was the PDUP, all that information is getting tracked. Your estimated horizontal and vertical accuracy gets tracked in both softwares so that you have information about your data after the fact. Some of the latest advancements with Teraflex are the flexibility now to have various coordinate systems. So traditionally in Collector and in Teraflex, it was a WGS84 lat long only platform. If you needed to see your data in state plane, you were stuck with TerraSync and Pathfinder Office. Nowadays with Teraflex, whether you're using the desktop extension or the cloud platform, you can create your project using a local coordinate system, which typically means state plane, Ohio or Pennsylvania, West Virginia state plane, and a NAT83 datum. So you can kind of define all of that nowadays in Teraflex, as well as you can get MSL heights inside the Teraflex application so that you can get good elevations. Both of those are an option primarily with Teraflex and potentially with Collector, but if MSL heights are important, you're probably going to want to stick to the Teraflex platform for the time being. Let me see if we can bring up a project. The other thing that we can do with Teraflex today that's kind of a newer release is vector layer. So if you need to check out existing data, you can upload a shapefile into the Teraflex Connect platform and then bring that shapefile out as a vector layer. That means that we're going to see it display, but we're not going to collect data against that layer. You can also do that from desktop, select data and bring it out. You can select existing data and create a task, and that's going to be data that we can edit and update. Or if you're just collecting data, you're going to create a template, which used to be what we referred to as a data dictionary file in Teraflex, and that allows you, I'm sure we'll go over, we collect a form. So in this case, I'm going to collect a gas valve, and then I have attributes. So the gas valve is my feature, and then I created a template where I have location, notes, and image, so I can take a picture with my device, and in this case, we'll say it was right below me. We took the picture. And so when we create a template, what we're saying is, what attributes do I want to collect, in this case about the gas valve? It could be a numeric field, it could be a drop-down field, it could be a signature field if you have inspections happening. Really, it's an endless type of attributes, but that's what the template is defining what features we're going to collect and then the attributes about those features. All of that is really simple to do from the cloud environment, to create those forms and templates, and then you get out into the field and you're able to collect that data. So I hope that helps you kind of, begin to figure out which direction is right for you in GPS devices for your next GIS data collection project. Like I mentioned, remember to think about, the first question is, how accurate do I need to be? And often people will say to us, oh, not that accurate. But what does that mean to you, right? A manhole might be 3 feet, but a manhole might get buried. And trying to find a buried manhole under, a foot of dirt or 2 feet of snow, 3 feet means you could be digging up a 6 foot by 6 foot box in essence. But if you've mapped all of your manholes before they were buried at subfoot, so 4 inches, now you're potentially only digging up an 8-inch square or an 8-inch radius to go back and find it. So those are the things to think about in context of how accurate. And then thinking about those field conditions. Am I under heavy canopy? Do I have self-service? Do I need to bring existing data out into the field? Do I need to see my entire GIS out in the field, or am I just collecting data? Hopefully, these things have helped you kind of point you in the right direction, whether an all-in-one device like the TDC 150 makes sense for you with Teraflex, or taking something like the R2 and pairing it to your own phone with Collector or Google Earth makes more sense for you. Again, my name's Christine Iksic. I handle Trimble mapping and GIS sales for Western Pennsylvania. Happy to talk to you, or come out to do a demonstration. If you're working in in Ohio, then you would be contacting Doug Kotnick or Rose Saville Iksic. But we all look forward to working with you. Thanks. Have a great day.